When I heard what the name of the show was and people were talking about it, I lost my shit because skins meant skinhead. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was just like, what? But then I learned what it meant here. So I was like, oh, lost in translation.
The papers, yes, the Siggy papers. But
yeah.
So you thought it was going to be used for like a right-wing fascist show,
I didn't
basically.
know. The first thing I thought was like, who the fuck thought of this?
Hi, my name's Alex. I'm with Enemy for an In Conversation series, and I'm joined today by Beth Ditto from The Gossip. Hello. How are you going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. What have you been up to today?
Oh, nothing. I woke up. You woke up? And I got my hair and makeup done. Mm-hmm. What else did I do? I drank some lim sip.
Yes.
And then, yeah, that's what I did.
So we're here today to talk all about your new album.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I'm good. I feel good about it. It's really old, so it's like hard to remember sometimes. Like what was going, like I'll be like, oh yeah, that. But yeah. It's funny. It's like records are always so funny because like I don't really pay attention to them. So I'm like, well, I don't know. But yeah, so it's really funny. It's like all of a sudden it was sitting on the shelf for a long time. And then all of a it's like, and now it was just overnight. It was just out, you know what I mean?
Take me back to when you first decided you want to make this album.
Well, I was doing a record with Rick Rubin in Hawaii. Ooh la la. It was very fancy, but not fancy. It sounds fancy, but it felt like being on a homestead. It was really cute and charming. It's like, it's hard to explain. But it was like, there was like the electricity would go out a lot and we'd have to like run off a generator. Oh. And then there wasn't really a vocal booth. We had to build one that was kind of like a makeshift one.
Okay.
It's like not what you would think. Like it's not what you'd think. If it wasn't like this grand studio, so it was really cool that way, like piecework and stuff. And we had to make things as we go, like build them as we go. But I really wanted to make. I wanted Nathan to play on that record because I was going to do it myself. I was going to do a solo record, and then there was just one day Nathan was playing something, and I looked at Rick and I was like, well, I said I don't know. I can't decide if this should be a Beth record or a gossip record, and he was just like, it should be a gossip record, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. I mean, if Nathan wasn't on it, it would have been different, but, and then we just were like, okay, and that was it. I mean, that's the beauty of, like, working with people you've known for so long.
Yeah.
There's no, like, glamorous story. It's just, like, you just go, okay. Like, it was just, like, when we, like, broke up or whatever, we were just like, okay. It's just, like, there's no falling out or something. And Nathan was just like, all right. It's like, it just didn't, there's no like, I mean, Hannah too, but there's a lot, because Nathan and I have just like a really deep history because we grew up together, you know?
Yeah.
And so like, I wish, you know, there's not a very big, what do you call it?
There's no drama.
Yeah.
There's no gossip.
Yeah, there isn't. That's the thing about, like, we have our own things, like, everybody's got their own dumb personalities, but like, there's not a lot of drama. There's not a lot of, you know, and if there is, it's like, I try not to, you know, like feed it, you know.
So what was the reasons that you and Gossip broke up in the first place then?
It got really hard to get people to care about it.
Okay.
You know, I think that's the thing that when you are together, I mean, there's a lot of stuff too, like, people were going through their own things and like trying to find, you know, like we were all just, it's like growing up together and being inseparable, and like it's hard to like change and become a person on your own, especially when you've just like when you're in a creative relationship, like a band. This is so, you'll hear it all the time, but like cliche, I guess. But, like, bands do feel like marriages. They feel like, you know, like, Gossip is the longest relationship I've ever had. And, like, the longest job I've ever had. And it's the reason why I've ever traveled or ever made, you know, like, it was the only band I was ever in and everything. So, like, it's hard to, like, let yourself grow and, like, be independent. And, like, you really become codependent on people because everything that you do is based on other people. And it's just, like, I think we needed space, really, to, like, deal with our shit or whatever it was.
I really hear that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you learn about yourself then in the time off from Gossip?
What did I learn about myself?
You came out with a solo record as well, didn't you?
I did, yeah. It was really fun. See, that was cool because it goes back to that thing where it's like if you get married right out of high school or you marry your high school sweetheart or something, that, you know, because Gossip has been a band since I was 18. And so, like, it was good to, like, prove to myself that I could do it. I think even with the kind of, like, exposure to, like, feminism that I had and punk rock feminism and, like, being, you know, like, and the dynamics that creates of, like, being in a band and being, you know, and, like musicians feeling empowered and women and, like, what it's like to be a woman in a band and, like, owning, like with a kind of, like, your space in music and, like, just keep it simple. It's like with all the Riot Girl punk rock feminism and, like, all of these things, it's funny because I never realized, like, that I was a pivotal part of Gossip, you know? Like, I was, like, I don't know, like, I couldn't do it without Nathan, you know? I couldn't, like, it was always because he was so great, and he is so great. And I feel like I'm at my best when he's at his best.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other thing about now, is I feel like that we're both in good places. And when you're in a band, people have expectations of you, and especially if you get attention for something, and they start to associate you with a certain thing, and then there's all this, like, thing about, like, oh, are you going to make another record, or is it going to be, is it going to be successful, or whatever? And when you're in a band and you don't really care, and you just want to make music, or it's nice to take a big break, but you don't really get to do that because there's pressure on you to keep making music and to make it relevant or make it cool or make it, you know, make people money. And it's boring and not fun. It's like, at least you need some space.
Coming into this new record then, how did you give yourself and Nathan the space to create whatever music you wanted?
I think letting him do his thing without judgment. You know, I think he needed to find some peace. Like, he was going through a lot of stuff. And I was going through a lot of stuff. And, like, just, like, life. And it gets complicated when you feel like you are married to something. Or, like, you know, like you have an obligation. And
yeah.
I think it was important that we both took time away and kind of got in touch with ourselves again, and, like, why we loved each other and why we loved to making music together, you know?
I was going to say, it sounds like around the time of making this record, you had two very similar situations. You had the breakup with Nathan, and then you went through your own divorce as well for a long time.
Divorce.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So did you kind of find parallels between those two situations, and did they come together to create this music that you're talking about now?
Yeah, I think, yeah, of course. It's like, you can't separate them. When you go through a divorce, and, like, especially because she and I were friends for so long, we were best friends.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden that person's gone. And, like, you know, it's really, that's the saddest part of it, is that, like, that whole history is gone. If you're on the terms that we are, like, we don't speak. So, like, it's like, oh, that sucks. It really makes you miss, like, you know, you go through these cycles in life where every few years, I think, where you start to, like, really start to look at who your friends are and what trust really means to you, and, like, what you need out of a community or a relationship, and it just makes you, like, realize. It made me realize how special Nathan and I were, and, like, how, like, you know, even if other people don't see it, you know, but, like, we speak a language all our own, you know, and it's beautiful because we will not talk for months, and, like, we'll just text each other, like, stupid shit. And that Nathan's love language is jokes. Like, you know, he's thinking about you when he just sends you the dumbest shit.
Aww.
And it's awesome. It's great. And, like, I was always like, people don't always understand that about him. I think he's a very, very weird person. But, like, I mean, a naturally weird person.
But that's great, you know, match made in heaven,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. I was always the normal person. Like, you know, like, I could talk to people. Like, Nathan I've seen him do the most hilarious shit.
Like what? Go ahead.
Okay.
Expose him.
Should I tell the story? No. Okay, so this is, like, Nathan's brain. He does not mean to hurt people's feelings. He just will say whatever. So this one time, I don't remember who we were with, but there was, like, label people, and I think it was some German TV show or something. But Lenny Kravitz had come backstage, and we were talking, and, you know, like, Nathan, this is one of my favorite Nathan stories of all time. Nathan barged through the door, saw Lenny Kravitz, and said, "Oh, I thought you said Lemmy," and walked out. that really happened. And I was like, oh my God.
How did Lenny, how did he react?
I don't think he even realized what happened. And I was like, this is the most... He just does shit like that. Like, I can't even explain it. Like, he's just that kind of person. Like, he just says shit. He's gotten better about it. Like, I mean, honestly, it's like, well, who cares, you know? But it was so fucking funny. That kind of energy I miss, too, because he and I really like when things... We really thrive well in chaos. And I miss that. You know? Exactly.
I can imagine. And the pandemic must have been really difficult for you guys then, because how much chaos can you really,
oh my God. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I know. Isn't it funny, because it was like everyday bursts of chaos, like anxiety. But, you know, I was talking to somebody last night, and we were like both tour for a living, and he was like, at first I was like, this is great. And I was like, I know, you've never been home for that long. And then it was like, wow, then it just got more worrisome, because we were just like, we are not going to have a living when we get out of this. Like, nobody knew how the world was going to look. I mean, and the way that, are people going to go on tour or not is it's like the least of anybody's worries, you know? So, like, yeah, that was pretty crazy. But I think Nathan was in lockdown in Arkansas, and I don't think Arkansas really even took it that seriously. Like, I was in Portland, and, like, it was completely different world. Mm-hmm. But, like, yeah, it was wild. God, that was wild. But it was hard to come out of. I had a really hard time coming out of it.
Yeah?
Really hard time coming out of it, yeah.
But you've had such a storied relationship with the UK over your career, to be honest. Especially because, like, Standing in the Way of Control soundtracked one of our most beloved, you know, TV shows.
I know. I've never seen that TV show.
Have you not?
Uh-uh.
Fair enough. I mean, I guess you don't have to. Do you plan on seeing it?
No, probably not. Just because I don't watch that kind of TV. Not because I'm too highbrow, believe me.
What kind of stuff do you watch?
What do I watch? Oh my God, I watch a lot of The Office. I am that person.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that quote The Office a lot. I could win a trivia game about it.
I'm guessing it's the US version,
I watch both.
Both?
But there's not enough of the UK version.
Okay. Do you have a preference?
Seasons. America. But it's because I have nostalgia connected to it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But I also heard that Gossip weren't actually given permission to use the song Standing in the Way of Control for the TV show, The Skins.
I didn't. The people that we worked for, not worked for, but the person who owned the label got it on to the TV show. And when we heard when I heard what the name of the show was and people were talking about it, I lost my shit. Because skins meant skinhead. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was just like, what? But then I learned what it meant here. So I was like, oh, lost in translation.
The papers, yes, the Siggy papers. But
yeah.
So you thought it was going to be used for like a right-wing fascist show,
I didn't
basically.
know. The first thing I thought was like, who the fuck thought of this? Like, whose idea is that? It freaked me out. I was so mad. I was livid.
A bunch of teenagers.
I know, exactly. Like, oh, it's a teenage drama. I was like, about what?
Especially because the whole song is about, you know, like, standing up to the government.
Yeah.
Must be like, you didn't get the point.
I'm like, who did this?
Amidst all of this chaos, amidst all of your divorce, your breakup, how did you find power within yourself to push through?
I didn't. I still don't think I have, actually. It was called Real Power because it was a song called Real Power. I didn't really want the record to be called that.
Okay.
It was like we needed a name. They needed a name and they needed one really fast. And I didn't feel like me and Nathan were just kind of like, oh my God, I don't know, Real Power, I guess. And everybody was like, yeah, it's good. And I was like, I mean, it's fine, but it's not what I wanted it to be. I still don't know what I would have wanted it to be.
So what does the album represent and mean to you then, if it's not Real Power?
I don't know. I wanted to call it Act of God, because there's a song called Act of God. I didn't think about it until it was too late. And I was like, God, literally I was peeing. I remember I was on the toilet. And I was like, fucking Act of God. Act of God. And I got out of the bathroom and I texted Nathan. I was like, Nathan, is it too late? He was like, that's really good. And he's like, is it too late? And I was like, I don't know. And then we had this big conversation. He was like, but is it culturally insensitive given the way that things are going in the world today? And I was like, I don't think it's insensitive. And I think Nathan is religious, and I have net zero religion. And so I was just like, I wonder if that is what, like, Nathan's a little bit like, I don't know.
But I wanted to get onto that topic actually, because the last time that you spoke about gossip as well, it came at a time that you found out that Nathan was a born-again Christian and moved back to Arkansas.
Yeah.
And you yourself have a bit more of a complicated relationship with religion. So how did you find navigating that particular sort of relationship?
Oh, I had to let it go.
Yeah?
And I had to see that, like, there's a lot of people that believe in God, you know, and I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. But, like at all. But I understand needing it. And I understand growing up with it. And, like, I'm always really jealous and, like, I have a lot of envy for people who have somewhere to put all of their worry and faith. And, like, but, you know, I mean, also I'm just like, it's okay. But I also don't have to worry about the other stuff that comes with it, too, which is awesome and free. But, I mean, it was hard because of the connotations that come with, like, Christianity and, bleh. But, like, you know, it's Nathan's thing, and if it helped him get through things, I think that's what he needed, you know?
That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
It kind of sounds like you're able to see more of Nathan as a person now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of helped that.
Yeah, and also, like, his life exists outside of me and this. I think that was the thing. It was like, you know, no matter what, it's like, it's, you know, it's, we have such a really long, complicated friendship. And it's really, I think I know it's, like, really important to both of us. And, like, our lives weren't the same when we weren't in them, yeah. But at the same time, it was the same. It's weird. It's like time never goes by with the two of us.
I think that's the best case scenario when you're making music, though.
I know.
I wanted to quickly say as well, in the past you've said a good producer is like a good therapist, and Rick is an amazing therapist. Does that still hold true when you were making this album?
Oh my God, Rick.
Especially because there's a lot of things that he needs to therapize at the minute.
What do you mean? Oh, the world?
Yeah.
You know what's funny is that, like, that kind of thing is not his vibe.
Okay.
It's his personal thing. It's weird. It's like, the thing with Rick, people like to be like, oh, he's like a guru. And I'm like, yes. I think to some people he would be, but it doesn't feel like that to me. It feels more like, I don't know. He's just like, he has a very good understanding of people. And to me, it's like, he sees what their potential is. He can see, and he has good intuition. He's a Pisces, so am I. So, like, he has really good intuition. And I think, you know, like, for better or worse, whatever it is, it's like, it's just, he has a strong opinion and a strong vision. But, like, with Rick, I can't explain it, because I don't want people to get the wrong idea about him sometimes, because I don't know what the right word is, but therapist is good. I went to this psychiatrist, and she was so expensive, like, ridiculously expensive, and, like, she didn't take insurance, I was quarantined, I was really, really not doing okay, and she put me on so much medicine, and I was in Hawaii with Rick, and there's always a yoga ball around for some reason in the studio. It's like a real thing, and I was sitting on the yoga ball. I don't even know why. I remember I looked at him, and he was just like, what is going on with you? And I was like, I was like, what do you mean? He was like, you are not yourself. He was like, something is different. And I was like, actually, I got in all this medicine. And he was like, I don't think that this is what is really going on with you. And he's like, if I make you an appointment with a different doctor, for real, he's like, if I make an appointment with a different doctor, will you talk to them? And just, like, get a second opinion, just so that, because I felt like that was the thing, was I was like, I don't know where to go, I don't know where to start. And he was like, if I can help you, do you need help? And if you want help, will you take it? And I was like, absolutely. And he, like, that doctor got me off everything and was like, this is crazy. And I was on, like, so much of this one kind of antidepressant that wasn't even supposed to, you weren't supposed to be on that high of a dose.
Okay.
It was crazy. But Rick did that, you know? Like, that kind of thing. And there's, like, a loving care about him. That's what it is. I think it's, like, people say guru, but for me, there is more of, like, love. I feel a lot of love from him, and I love him very much.
And then what kinds of, like, what's your favourite song off of the record? What was the most fun to make?
Oh, my favourite song on the record is probably Peace and Quiet. slow song. I really like sad songs. They're the easiest to write, you know, because they just, you know. But yeah, that's my favorite song. But that's always me. Like, I think when you're like a singer, you're like, I get to sing in that song. You know, I like that song a lot.
And I can tell that it seems like a lot of the country influences from your solo album seem to kind of carry over on
That's
today.
Nathan.
Yeah?
That was Nathan. Like, Nathan is just like gone through this really twangy country phase for like years now.
But it suits you though. It really suits you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's sweet. I think, yeah, I think it's good. I think we both really like to do that. And that's the other thing, is like, it's nice to like just to make a record and not even think about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was like that. We're not a lot of people who put a lot of thought anyway. I mean, obviously, I was like, we're never going to get to name this record, you know?
But I think it's also funny because we're seeing a huge return back to what people call indie sleaze. But that's
Oh my God!
It's like an era that you grew up in. That's the one you dominated. How do you feel about it? Why are people coming back to it?
Because it's been 20 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, you were a baby.
I was.
You know? And so, like, that's the way... I think it's just, you know, that's the way things work out. Like, there's enough time has gone by that it's, like... It's nostalgic. It's, like, a time that people weren't alive for. That they're like, oh, this is what... Even, like, my parents were listening. You know what I mean? It's really sweet, I think. It's really, really awesome to be 42 and see kids, like... The way that I was doing that. I do know, like, the way I was listening to, like, in the 90s, you know, the way that we were listening to punk bands from the 70s. Like, there was a big resurgence of, like, the Raincoats and the Slits, you know, and that kind of stuff. Like, I'm just like, wow, like, this is not that we are like the Raincoats and the Slits. Please, I know that we're not, but, like, that much time and to see it come full circle is really cool.
Especially because, like, Decepticon went viral on TikTok, and I know you're good friends with the tutor as well, right?
Yeah,
It must have been so amazing to watch as a friend.
That's another thing, too, is I have a lot of nieces and nephews, like teenagers. It's really been so cool to, like, when my niece came to visit, I could hear her on TikTok and songs that were on there, and I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. It gets so easy to stumble on something cool now, and I think that's the best.
I just want to ask one more question. So throughout your career, you have fought really hard for feminism and for queer rights and for activism.
I would have fought harder.
Yeah.
I could have fought harder.
Really? Why do you say that? You appeared naked on the cover of NME on 2008. That is fighting pretty damn hard, I would say.
That's pretty wild, wasn't it? Oh, yeah. That was being naked's not that hard for me. Like, it does not. I don't know what it is.
But you say you could have fought harder. How come?
Oh, I don't know. I think I could have, like, taken time out and learned more, maybe. But we all could have, you know.
How do you think people can be the best punk that they can be nowadays in 2023?
Best punk?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can be the best punk. I don't think there's such thing. It's such a, like, a...
Not the best punk, but how can people be truly punk nowadays, do you think?
I don't think there's an answer.
Yeah?
I don't. It's so funny you say that, because I was just talking to somebody I've known for a long time last night. And I think we're the same age, and she just got a real job. She has a daughter who's like, I think she's 7 now, and she was like, I was asking her because I heard she got this job that's like a real job, and before she was like a creative consultant, and she's like, but now she's like 9 to 5 and kind of, and I was like, so how does it feel to be like working, like that kind of work? And she was like, I feel like getting up early in the morning is the punkest thing I've ever done. That was exactly her words. And I was like, yeah, that's so cool. That's so cool. I don't know. I think that's the thing, is it's like, you know it when you see it, and you know it's not when you see it. You know what I mean? Like, I had a friend explain to me one time, it's just the way I like to put things, like it's a good meter to, like, suss things out. But, like, we were talking about roller skates or something, or rollerblades, and he was like, oh God, rollerblades. He was like, I was like, why do people hate them so much? He's like, they're not punk. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, Beth, some things just aren't punk. He is still super punk. And I was like, okay. I was like, he was like, rollerblades, not punk. Roller skates, punk. And I was like, I'm forever going to ask myself, is this rollerblades or is this roller skates? Because it works. Okay. You just know when you see it, you know?
Who do you think is exemplary of punk philosophy nowadays?
I always talk about her. I think Fever Ray is really punk.
Yeah.
And it's cool to see someone, I feel like, keep transforming constantly and evolving, and like it's been really interesting to see that, and from somebody who's like my age, you know.
I think as well, another thing I want to ask quickly is that queer culture as well has changed so much since you guys were kicking around. I mean, what do you think has been the biggest change for you coming now into culture nowadays, being a queer person?
It's really incredible to see things be accessible, like resources, community. Like there's a way to reach out. I keep biting my tongue. There's a way to reach out and be connected. It's interesting to see so much backlash because it felt like a more safe world for queers for a bit. Mm-hmm. Not for every queer, of course. I guess on that question, what it makes me think is like, right now, we're seeing a big pushback, you know, trans people especially. And I don't understand how fucking hard it is. And like, and how it divides queer people, and like, especially, like, honestly, nobody I know, like, I'm always like I hear of like TERFs and weird shit like that, and I'm like, I don't know any of them, and I don't want to be friends with them, sorry, because I didn't make a choice. I don't understand why you would make a choice to just be vocal about being such a shitty person. I do not understand it. And what are you defending? Not me. You know, I'm a cis woman. I don't feel like, I'm glad they've got my back. You know, I'm like, I don't feel protected by them or whatever.
They feel threatened for whatever reason.
It's change. I think that's what happens sometimes. I tell you this too. It's like when you get older in activism or whatever it is, they're like people who, I mean, you see it a lot in pop culture, like people that we, like 20 years ago, we were like, oh my God, they're fucking revolutionary, you know? And then they get older, and then the language changes, the movement changes, because that's what progress is. It's constant change. And then they feel shut out, and they are afraid to look inside themselves and just ask questions and be wrong because they don't understand it. It's like, you know, you support gay rights, like gay marriage, but you don't understand like trans equality, or like, because it's like, or just whatever it is, like because they are so afraid of just like saying, I don't get it, I don't understand, and somebody tell me. Instead, they like buckle down against it when it's their own bullshit, it's their own ego. It's so annoying. And it happens so much when people get older who were so cool, and then all of a sudden they're just idiots and assholes and they ended up being exactly what they were afraid of being.
Yeah. Because
they're afraid to ask, you know, that they are threatened by the idea that they don't know. And they can't accept that.
So it sounds like the most punk thing you can do nowadays is just to be open and ask questions. I think that's...
Yeah. Just like, you know, not everybody, like nobody expects people to know everything, and that's okay. It's all right.
There you go. Well, thank you very much for speaking to me, Beth. I really appreciate your insight. It's so lovely to hear from you.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm so glad Gotham's reunited. Yeah.
That gave me chills. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you so much.